Jeff from Host GPO on the show today. And if you're watching here today on the live stream, on the podcast, it'd be a great episode to learn about one of the leading providers of great furniture and everything you launch to rental. So definitely listen to the entire show. If you know someone that's getting into short-term rentals, investing in short-term rentals for a great solution, please definitely share this episode with them. I think they'll very much enjoy listening to what Jeff has to share today. And again, really our entire goal of this podcast is to help you better invest your time and your capital in short-term rentals. And if you enjoyed the episode, please leave us a comment and like us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Jeff, thank you for spending some time with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Really excited to be here.
Yeah, no, I've known about Host GPO for a long time, and I'm glad we would connect. I'd love to learn and share with the audience more about your company, what you guys do, and how you guys add value to the space. But before we start, why don't you give us a introduction of yourself and Host GPO?
Yeah, so my name's Jeff. I'm the CEO and one of the founders here at Host GPO. Just a quick blurb on Host GPO. We're a buying group for short-term rentals. So you can kind of think of us like a Costco, but for this space. We partner with brands that provide furniture, linens, amenities, rugs, art, decor, appliances, pretty much anything you need inside of your vacation rental to operate it when you're setting it up or on an ongoing basis. And we offer all of that stuff at a discounted price once you join Host GPO as a member. So that's the Host GPO background. And my background, I've been in the vacation rental industry for about 10 years. Before that, I was an attorney. I practiced law for about 3 years and got into the vacation rental space like most people do, totally on accident. I started with one property, then kind of really became interested in learning more, went to 5, went to 10, 50. At our biggest, we were operating 150 properties, a total mix of apartment buildings, luxury homes, smaller studios, you name it, mostly in Southern California. And did that for about 5 or 6 years and started Host GPO about 5 years ago when I was having problems figuring out what to buy and how to operate the business. So that's the quick background on me and the company.
That's awesome. I didn't know that you had up to 150 units. Like, tell us a little bit about that. You and I are both based here in New York. Did what was your? I believe you went to UCLA, right? So was it because you familiarity with Southern California? Tell us about how you started.
Yeah, so I was based in Los Angeles, and I'm actually from there. That's my hometown. So
Okay.
I know the city really well. I'm really passionate about the city. I very much wanted to share the city with other people. And I got into the space back in 2015 when it was kind of impossible not to just knock it out of the park. It was a really, really big time in the space. And there was, I'll call it a really good learning moment because there was a lot of space to learn and make mistakes. But I got into the industry by working with real estate developers who were buying and flipping homes. And my model was if they purchased a home and they were waiting for entitlements, that could take, a year and a half to get. So I would work with them during the time when the home was empty in between and furnish it and then rent it out during that period. And then when they were ready to do construction and flip the house, I would move out at that time. So that's kind of how I got started with my first 5 or 10. And then once I got up to about 40 or 50, we really started branching out into property management as well. We had a team in place and we started managing properties for others and just kind of kept growing from there. So it was a combination of leased properties, purchased properties, and we had a brokerage at the time and also property management. And we were really just opportunistic in terms of the deals we were looking for.
Got it. So with those first, unit that you were kind of taking advantage of this white space between, when the property was purchased by the developer and when, they were able to kind of execute their business plan with a lease arbitrage model, or did you manage it for them? Because, we really like the lease arbitrage model to start. So I'm kind of curious, was that a strategy at the beginning to grow your portfolio?
Yeah, so I would say the beginnings were in a combination, but mostly lease arbitrage. That was kind of the big unlock for us early. Again, this was 2015. It was a different time, and I will say that that model allowed for us to rent the property at about 50% of the market rate. That was because
Oh,
it was a
wow. Okay.
huge benefit to the homeowners, or sorry, to the real estate developers who weren't property managers. The homes were otherwise sitting vacant, and we would handle all of the property management work as well. And so we were really just a net benefit to them over zero by
Yeah.
operating the properties during that time. So that was the model, and it worked very well.
Oh, that's great. Great value creation, right? Like, look, for them, if they get any dollars, they'd be happy as long as they knew that you would take care of it. And I mean, not akin to like what happens now. Obviously, the market has shifted then. And then you talk about as you evolve, like what helped you or what drove you to kind of diversify the business? Because for us personally, we started with lease arbitrage. We still do a fair amount of lease arbitrage now. We take the lease arbitrage profits and then we go and buy properties. And that's kind of our model. We have about 40 properties right
Sure.
now. We started late 2016, so we kind of started at the same time. We started here though, well, because we lived here. The rules were different back then, and then
Sure.
our portfolio has now transitioned to Philadelphia, and then we own in other markets in the country, namely like Tennessee and then the Catskills.
Yeah, I think that was our model as well early on, taking the profits from lease arbitrage and rolling it into either other business opportunities or purchasing assets. When things started to shift for us into working in property management as well, it was because we already had a core team built out. We had, runners on the
Mhm.
ground, a maintenance staff, messaging. All of our software was pretty much lined up. We had a good tech stack, and at that point, we had inbound interest of people who knew that we were doing this, who started asking if we would manage properties for them. Or there were sometimes deals where we felt like this was probably a good deal, but it might not be a slam dunk. And
Mm.
absent that level of assurance, my appetite for doing a lease arbitrage deal was very limited. And so we would look at that deal and say, hey, look, this is going to generate cash flow. It might be a very, very large property where I didn't want to sign a $15,000
Mm.
a month lease. And so I was saying, all right, well, 25% here, that could make sense. It's probably worth the juice is worth the squeeze. And we already have an infrastructure in place to do it. So that was when we started branching out into property management as well.
Got it. That makes sense, and I think that highlights the point, like having different discipline. With short-term rentals, there's a lot of different ways to make money or different investment strategies, and to the extent that you understand them. I mean, actually, I think be an expert at least one or two of them. Just actually know, like, I could be really, really good lease arbitrage person, and be a really good management person, might be able to understand those disciplines because there's a lot of ways to your point, kind of squeeze more juice from the lemon. So sometimes it doesn't make sense to do lease arbitrage, and if the owner is okay with doing property management, like everyone wins and everyone comes out ahead. So I think it's a great to highlight the point about like being able to attack a problem from different angles. And you know, it sounds like you did that, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, there's this entire white space here 5 years ago on buying, right? Because you go in and you furnish a property, it's in the tens of thousands of dollars, generally speaking, and you're going up probably back in the day. There was like IKEA and then Amazon, Target, Costco, Wayfair, a list as long as my arm probably of different vendors out there, and then trying to coordinate all that, and then you're paying retail. So maybe talk a little about like the problem that you saw with being able to furnish short-term rentals, and then how you came up with a solution for post GPO, because GPOs aren't unique to group buying organizations, aren't unique to short-term rentals. They exist in a lot of different areas, a lot of different industries. So we just talk about how you kind of took that saw the problem and took that concept and applied it to short-term rentals.
Yeah, I mean, I think that group purchasing organizations being in other industries was the big aha moment where I was, going through and trying to buy these things. And I was like, I wish there was one place I could get this. And I was like, well, how do hotels do it? Learned about GPOs and realized, well, this is really what should exist in our space. But to your point, Michael, I checked out of IKEA with 48 shopping carts, with a team of people. We rented a U-Haul. We filled it up.
The
We brought
train,
the stuff
right?
to the unit. Yeah, it was a
The,
joke. It
the,
was
the
a joke. It
train of
took us like a week.
IKEA. Sorry, go ahead.
That that checkout, the train, that took over 3 hours of just swiping. They had to clock in a new register person because so they had to go on break because it was like so like they were like taking shifts, checking us out. And it was just so much pain. And you learn the amount of money you're spending in time to do that, plus the amount of setup costs, plus the fact that the units look terrible, plus the fact that all of the coffee tables and other things and couches we were buying were the cheap versions of non actual wood, and they would peel and fall apart, and the places would get bad ratings, and they would only last for 4 months to 6 months, and then we were blocking off nights to replace the furniture, and it was operationally a headache. I mean, these are the lessons that I learned the hard way. And I'm embarrassed to show some of my earlier properties, but over time, I got a lot better at doing this. And I learned that if you purchase from somewhere like Crate and Barrel or CB2 or West Elm or Article, right, you can pay a flat rate to have that stuff delivered and installed. And I even learned at a lot of these brands, they have different designations for contract grade or commercial grade furniture. And those are the types of items that it might be the same place, right? CB2 might sell two chairs, one that's contract grade and one that isn't. It just means that that item is meant to be used in a commercial setting. So a hotel is going to use it, a restaurant is going to use it, and they're buying the same thing. They're just made with less moving parts. They're rated under certain standards to take a certain amount of weight, like all of these different types of things that go into that type of furniture. Just learning about that, understanding how it worked, understanding that you're not just purchasing the physical item, you're also purchasing the logistics of the installation and saving time and so forth, right? That from a furniture perspective was absolutely eye-opening. And then those learnings, they spanned across linens, figuring out how the hotels companies buy linens, amenities and soaps and shampoos and so forth. Really factoring in all the Costco runs, all of the rest of it. To your point, the mistakes with Amazon buying that you can get into, and so forth. Just learning how to operate the most effective business. The GPO kind of came by itself. It wasn't an intentional idea. It was a couple dozen vacation rental companies that all had 100 or so properties getting together and saying, hey, what's the number one mattress? What is it? And what should we buy it? And can we go make a deal for it? And so that's kind of how it all started.
Nice, nice. And then, what made you want to build a business around that? I mean, so let me pause on that for a minute. I'll come back to it. Do you still operate short-term rentals, or is that portfolio still operating? Maybe not under you directly. Maybe just where does that portfolio stand today?
Yeah. So when I split with my business partner and started doing Host GPO full time, he took the majority of the portfolio. I still managed a handful of properties. I've over time dwindled down the portfolio to just a few, but and they're the ones that I use. But that's been a hard thing to say goodbye to after managing, that big of a portfolio. But again, a lot of them, two things. One, was able to successfully exit and kind of move out of that business and focus on OSGPO. This was a full-time job, so I'm very, very kind of happy in this lane. But two, you might have experienced this as well, but back in 2015, 2016, it wasn't as common to be building portfolios that were branded. And people weren't looking for that type of enterprise value the way that they are now. And so, I also had a portfolio that was a mix of arbitrage properties, property management deals, and so forth. That was luxury, mid-level, and kind of value stays. That was kind of hard to
Mhm.
package in any other way and kind of put to a sale. So just an interesting point on kind of how the times have changed there as well.
Yeah, no. I mean, I mean, well, the point, like, you'd be embarrassed. You said you'd be embarrassed to show some of the properties that you did before. I don't think you'd be embarrassed of the P&Ls though. I mean, it was definitely early days, but there was a lot there's a lot of margin back then. You could have done anything, and it would have been pretty difficult to lose money. The space, like with your company and others, has professionalized, right? Like, it's a lot more. I wouldn't say institutional because it's still very big. There's still a lot of fragmentation, and where small, mid-level, or mid-size operators like me have 40 units. We have people in our STR Like the Best program that have 5 that make money, that have 100 that make money. It's it's definitely leveled up. People can still do very well in the space. Another thing to highlight too is the equity point, or the enterprise value point that you called out. This isn't a bit, in my view, an arbitrage business is really run for cash flow. Like you're running it to
100%.
cash. So, it's low capital intensity, at least in the beginning, right? Maybe the furniture, maybe a security deposit, right? You're running it for cash, right? How do you convert that cash into equity value? The way that we've done it is by buying other properties, right, that we own that have equity value, and hopefully will grow that equity value. If you have a property management company, you can sell that property management company, but be a certain scale. And to your point, either the same geography or same luxury, whether it's luxury, budget, or whatever type it is, there's kind of a common thread, and it has to have the systems and processing and the books for it to sell to another buyer that's going to be a real multiple to that. And then there's building businesses around that, right? Which is what you've done too. So it's a great way to get started, right? But having that end goal in mind, I think, is really critical. And you've kind of said that in a very, 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 very well in the way that you've developed your portfolio. Like, hey, I've gotten a bunch of cash flow from this. I bought it. Now let me take this cash flow and build something of equity. For you, it's for Host GPO, and it's done very well, and it created equity value for others like me that we're looking for a solution. Like we just built out a number of arbitrage units 2 weeks ago, and we still use Amazon here and there, but we definitely use a using GPO company that can help us consolidate a lot of that. And it's a lot of brain damage that we get to avoid by having one vendor that's able to get us better pricing, better quality, and have one kind of neck to run when something goes wrong versus going to a bunch of other people.
Of
So
course.
maybe just talk a little bit about that. Like when someone buys a new property and needs to furnish it, arbitrage units, needs to furnish it, has a new property management client that the house is empty or needs to be redone. Like where's GPO like best place to be in that process?
Yeah. So look, I think that there's two real fits. One is if you've got, I would say, more than 6 weeks, more than 8 weeks, and you're about to furnish either a client's place, or which is really the sweet spot. You want to be in a place where you have at least 6 weeks to furnish something, just for what that's worth. Your options, you'll save more money, and you'll be able to get better quality product just by the nature of timing of delivery of furniture and selection and so forth. That's just a good rule of thumb for anybody that's listening. Just keep that in mind. But if you're about to set up a new property, whether it's a 20-unit building or a 5-unit building or one home with 5 bedrooms or 3 bed, you will probably want to sign up and talk to us and take a free consultation call. So we do these 3-month free trials where you join, and I would encourage everybody to take a consultation call because our team is made up of experts who do this all the time, and who work with people who are setting up properties all the time. So whether you want to leverage our free interior design program, we work with a lot of our brands to offer free interior design. Whether you want to have us refer you to a designer to do it, or whether you want to do it yourself and just talk to somebody about procurement and what to buy, we'll walk you through the process and the timelines of, okay, you want to order your furniture first, then you want to order your linens at this point, then you want to order your mattresses at this point, and so forth, and help guide you through that entire process. And it's one thing to be able to say, this is what we would recommend, this is what we think you should buy. It's another thing for you to be able to try it yourself. And so a big part of what we do, we work with, for example, Standard Textile. That's the largest linen company for hospitality in the US. It's who Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, Ritz, they all buy from them. And we're the exclusive partner for them in the short term rental space. And so you're able to buy their linens at a significant discount. But I pointed out because you also can get free samples of those quality towels and linens and so forth, and try them out to know what you're buying, what you're putting in your place, being intentional about it, and so forth. So, I think for setting up a property, you want to get in touch with us at least 6 weeks before if you can. If you can't, then maybe it's only linens and mattresses and rugs and things like that'll make sense. We can help you turn a property in like 2 weeks, but again, that's hectic and you're going to limit your options. The other thing I think that makes a lot of sense is if you're a property management company or you're even an operator that has more than 3 properties, you're probably buying paper goods, cleaning supplies, soaps and shampoos on an ongoing basis. And, we partner with everybody from, you know, the Malin and Getz's and, Apothekeys and public goods. We even have our own kind of Kirkland signature line that's like a very nice looking, very inexpensive soap and shampoo that it is better than the pricing. We also have a lot of the stuff that you buy on Amazon, the same exact stuff, just direct from that company. So better pricing on that kind of stuff. And again, there's savings over time by being able to purchase probably the same items that you're getting at a discount, or try something else that might even be better, and also might be at a discount. So I would say to your question, if you're setting up a new property, ideally you have 6 weeks plus, and we can help you with whether it's with a free interior design program or getting you samples or walking you through what to buy. Or if you're kind of operating at 3+ units, and you're purchasing on an ongoing basis, it would make sense to sign up to.
Yeah, that 6 to 8 weeks. I think um, that's a great data point. A lot of people, they kind of if you're buying a property, especially, you have a little more lead time just between
Sure.
and close. If you're a property manager, you obviously have a little bit of time where that the client's going to sign and you have some time. Arbitrage may be a little more difficult. Usually the lease is quick, so you do need a little more. You might not have 6 weeks, you might have 2 weeks. So it sounds like you have a
Yeah.
solution for kind of different timing bands. The question everyone's going to have is, and the question I have is, if I'm spending $10,000 to furnish a 2-bedroom apartment, and I'm doing it through Amazon, Target, Wayfair, Costco, and if I went through Host GPO, what type of things can I expect?
Yeah, so our average members save about 40%, 39 something
40%.
percent. Yeah. We
Okay.
have we have the industry's guaranteed best discounts. So we partner to make sure that each of our brands that we work with, guarantee that Host GPO gets the best pricing. So
Okay.
that is part of
Interesting.
our value
Okay.
proposition.
Your contract lawyer deserves the A+ for that, most favorite nation clause you have in your deal. So I
Yeah,
guess you're
I mean, a
I
lot
guess
of
you're a
our
lawyer. So maybe that's maybe kudos to you for driving those contract terms then.
well, look, I think that that's what makes the most sense. I mean, a lot of our members have 1,000 units or 500 units or even 5 units, but no matter how big somebody is, if you're buying as a part of the group, you should be able to access the best pricing. Nobody should be able to go and have to do one-off deals and negotiate and try to figure out what to get. And it just doesn't make sense. Part of our big value proposition is we limit the assortment of brands that we have to a curated group of brands that are the best in the space. So we're not going to have 20 linen companies and recreate the internet on our website. We're going to have Standard Textile, which is the best hospitality linen company and has an array of options. And we're going to have one or two other, whether that's Brooklinen or, a couple name brands. If that's what you're looking for and you want the name brand, then I get that as well. There's some value there. But at the end of the day, we're focused on curating the assortment to, whether that's Helix mattresses, which we find at the price point, we get them to be insanely competitive, less expensive often than these kind of all foam Zenith type mattresses that you're buying on Amazon, but you're getting a
We
quality
buy the
hybrid
Zenith
mattress.
mattresses. So
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
mean, we have this Helix hospitality mattress that is just an absolute incredible mattress made in the US, shipped to order, and it's just a way better sleep experience.
Okay.
I would really encourage you to look at one of those.
I'll check it out. I'll have to check that out on the next. We have some other new product in the pipeline. So hopefully we
We'll
can
send
get
you
six
one
to
to
eight
try.
weeks.
We'll send you one to try as a thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that.
Sure.
My wife will appreciate that more. Our mattress hole at home is getting 5-6 years now, so maybe it's time for us to make a switch.
Yeah.
Questions. A direct question to you. Like, I'm curious about this point. Where's the biggest delta? Like, is it mattresses, couches? Like, where is the biggest spread between using a GP, like Host GPO or GPO company versus buying from Amazon, for example? Like, which
I
one,
mean,
like, what are the things that actually are the biggest, like, you get the best value?
yeah, look, it's generally speaking across the board. Like I would say
Okay.
that what you're expecting is mattresses, furniture, the big ticket items, even appliances or like jacuzzis,
Yeah.
right? That type of stuff we have amazing, amazing deals on, and the delta's pretty big. Even a 25% or a 35% savings on a $3,000 item is a pretty big dollar amount.
It's
Um,
huge. Yeah,
but
it's 500-600 bucks. That's great. Why not?
it's great. But when you get down to things like electronic locks, for example, sure, we have the best pricing with Schlage. We have the best pricing with Yale. You're buying directly from those companies and every lock company, right? You're able to purchase directly from those brands at cheaper than you're going to buy on Amazon. So whether that's an Encode or a Yale Pro, Assure 2, and by the way, I say Pro because a lot of people buy the Assure lock, but they don't even know that there is a Pro version that is a more commercial grade, like less rust proof, etc., or more rust proof, I should say, lock. You're able to buy that at cheaper than you would on Amazon directly, but the savings might only be 10%. So it's across the board, but on higher ticket items and on things like mattresses and furniture, and I would say linens and amenities too. A lot of the amenities, people, when you buy amenities on the retail market, you're buying soaps and shampoos um, for retail that are at one bottle servings. With Host You Go, if you buy 12 ounce or 16-ounce soaps or shampoos, I mean the savings can be like 70-80%.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, okay. That's great. No, we'll to be candid, we buy those disposable or just consumables, excuse me, on Amazon. So that's something that we'll definitely see if that makes sense for us
What
to make the switch,
do you
and
know which
if it's
brand? Do you know which
mandatory.
brand you're buying?
I don't. My manager. I've removed myself from that part of the business. Anything that's on
Smart.
Amazon that's over 250, I have to. It still goes to my email box to improve, but those
Sure.
fall below my threshold. So,
I
but
hear you,
it's
but
ones we've used. Go ahead.
no, I was going to say they start to add up when you add them all together, all those small individual purchases.
I mean, look, these are. I mean, this isn't a 50% margin business, right? We're not selling software here, right? We're selling a service, right? So, these are typical MB
100%.
margins, right? We're doing 25-30%, like, as you know, right? So you can save a couple points. I mean, if it's the same thing, you're shaving a couple points on margin. I mean, that's drop down margin to you, and it makes your business that much more profitable. If it's the same thing,
Yeah.
like, why not? I think
I'm
that's actually a
telling
good
you, I
question.
think,
So why shouldn't people?
yeah.
Sorry,
Sorry, you were saying why
my
shouldn't people
question.
what?
Yeah, my question to you is, like, what would be a reason for people not to use a GPO? Why is it better to go
Yes.
to Amazon, for example, versus using your firm?
Yeah. If you're buying a TV, you should probably buy it off of Amazon for now. And that's because we don't
Okay.
do TV deals. We haven't done one yet. And the reason we haven't done it is because we don't want to put anything on our site that you can get for cheaper elsewhere. Um, That's just the rule. Like if you see an appliance, we partner with GE, you better believe that we're getting it at a better price than if you went to your local Home Depot to buy it or you went anywhere else to buy it. So that's why we have
Yeah,
those appliances, washers, dryers, fridges, those types of things. But when it comes to TVs, like it's very hard to negotiate and get a TV deal that makes sense for everybody across the board. And we haven't done one of those yet. And so you should buy that off of Amazon or off of Best Buy or something like that.
Jeff, I should talk to you earlier. We just installed new washer and dryers at my new Catskill house, Home Depot. Paid LG, I forget what brand. It's like all the taxes. I think I paid at 1,800.
Yeah, I mean, Michael, every day that
Oh,
we're not talking to each other, you're losing two, three, $400 a day.
money. What? No better advertisement than that. Helping me, helping me save money. You're speaking my finance language. Okay, well, very good. Well,
Well,
The next
It's
washer
a
dryer, we'll have to go. I'll have to go through you guys.
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely should, and I'll tell you, for my thing I always tell people is that profitability is a two-sided, two variable equation. I mean, you can, on the one hand, by buying the right types of products, whether that's like restoration hardware, if you're doing a super luxury property through us, or something more basic. There is the design aspect and making it look really good, and all of that, which you can do, and increase your revenue. But there is also the second part of profitability that people always forget about, which is lowering your expense cost. And I think that we help solve both of those and make your business more profitable. That's a huge driver for us. And you know, I think to your point, way early in this podcast, you were talking about how you used to be able to kind of get away with anything. It didn't really matter. You were gonna book and so forth. But I'm a very firm believer that apart from saving people money, apart from all of that, there is our like big mission is to try to elevate the entire industry by making the
Yeah,
quality of everybody's properties better without you having to pay a lot more. If I can get you something that's like, the price of that IKEA couch, but it's a much better couch, right? That elevates the quality of vacation rentals across the board, and then the rising tide will make people trust vacation rentals more as an asset class. It
better.
will increase the amount of bookings that come in over time, and we will all help each other out as a community by doing things by doing that.
No, I absolutely. I mean, yeah, definitely agree. I think as I'm just kind of thinking through my head now, higher quality, like higher quality linens. I mean, towels. I mean, the towels get, they get beat up pretty good, but high quality towels, high quality soaps. Branded. Especially if they're branded, it really elevates. One, it attracts better booker that's going to take care of your place. It's going to pay
Sure.
more. It's not going to like nickel and dime you over a little thing. And it's someone walks into your property, it smells good. They go and wash their hands, and it's a soap that they recognize that if they were going to a nice restaurant, like, oh, okay, or like a nice something, oh, this is nice, and it smells good. That's why you walk into any hotel, you walk into a quality hotel, what's the first thing you see? Fresh flowers, and it smells good,
Yeah.
and it automatically just like, oh, okay, I'm at the Four Seasons, I'm at the Ritz, right? You're not at a budget hotel. It's just like that elevation. You walk in, and you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe a knife was misplaced into the spoon side of the drawer. People overlook that versus like you walk in and it's like, it's a little musty, and then you go in, it's like not a great soap, and like the toilet paper is like one ply, and it's like a worn towel, like it's that like might not be perfect. Just kind of where do you want to start that experience? And it's a great point that you highlighted. Like help us all elevate the space, a better quality experience, and help with the quality operators expand, better supply. Um, you get better guests into your property, and everything just kind of works better.
I mean, you're speaking my language, and I'm currently in a hotel and thinking about all of the things that you're saying, and it's true. You give more grace when things are all set up mostly right, and you're less likely to. It's that first impression you get. When you walk in, and my favorite example of this is hotel towels and sheets, because there are about 30 ways that you can get that wrong. And I will tell you that I didn't know about the types of towels that like this company Standard Textile makes. I didn't know that they have, to your point, they have commercially graded towels that are supposed to woven in a certain way to go through 100 plus commercial grade washes, which is probably 150, 200 washes of regular, cycle in home washer dryer. And so when you go to use a hand towel, or your guest goes to use a hand towel and it's fraying and coming apart, that doesn't really feel clean. They have towels that
Yeah.
are and sheets that are stain resistant. And like, I didn't even know that was a technology that exists. And essentially, and we can do a whole thing on towels and linens, but like, yeah, they have ways
I know
of
we
doing.
should actually. I would love to learn more. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, it's unbelievable, the technology. I mean, they put the on the 60/40 blends, like the polyester cotton, they'll put the polyester yarn on the inside, and they have a proprietary blending method, or weaving method, where they wrap it in cotton, so it actually feels better when you touch it because the cotton's on the outside. but cotton doesn't absorb soil and dirt the same way that like synthetic materials do. So it actually washes out. And so like that's how they do it. Or they like have quick dry towels where it's like it's more plush in the middle than on the sides, and pre-laundered and color coordinated threads that run along the inside of the sheets so that there's no hemline, so you can put them on both ways. I mean, there's all these hospitality optimized
Love it.
things that like, yeah, why are we, I know people who are sewing in threads or writing on the corner of the sheets queen and sharpie. You know how much time that takes? Or even just doing your first load of laundry. If you were setting up 20 properties and you bought 3 par and you weren't just going to go straight onto the bed, which I highly would recommend not doing, and you were going to actually do the loads of laundry beforehand, think about how
Yeah.
much time, money, and and electricity and water and so forth is going into having to do all of those loads of laundry. This company partners with Tide and they ship the stuff pre-laundered in like in bag that's room ready to go. That's how Marriott's buying all the stuff. That's how, Hyatt and all the big hotels buy it. Might as well be able to access the same thing.
Man, dude, you a master class in hospitality and linens right there. That's cool. Like it just shows how passionate you are and how educated you are in the space. And I think that's where I think you made a point about like focus, right? Like you had this great portfolio, just great business, and then you have this business opportunity. Like you're really, and your subject matter knowledge here just illustrates like if you want to get good at something, you got to go like deep and like understand the details. That's how you're going to be a great CEO of a GPO company, short-term rentals, and that's how you're going to be a great short-term rental investor and operator. It's like you just got to get deep and understand these details that you're going to be better than. People always talking about saturation in the space. Is it too late? Is it over? I would argue that the kind of early phase is probably at its end, and now we're kind of on the second phase of the industry where it's more professionalized. And if you want to continue to make good profits, grow your business, like this is where you are going to differentiate yourself, right? You always got to pick the right market, you got to pick the right property, you got to design it well, you got to furnish it, offer it well, and these things about linens and soaps and reducing your R&M with, or replacing your breakage with your towels and your linens, reducing your electricity and water spend with having the commercial grade towels. Like these things, they don't show up day one. They show up on the 50th, 75th, 100th turn, right? And you're replacing those things at the 50th turn when they could be the 150th. And if you're doing laundry in house, like your electricity bill is $700, just $500. Like, but if it's every single month times X properties, like that's a real thing. And that cost advantage, that operational advantage, if you have that built-in advantage over competition, then you have much more profits to work with to go and reinvest in your properties. If you need to have more flexibility in price, you're going to be your break-even point is going to be lower than your competition. And fundamentally, you can lean in on that, and that's how you win. And that's why I always
I
counsel
couldn't have said it
students.
better. Couldn't have
Yeah,
said it
no,
better.
thank you. That's how you win. That's how you win. Like these things that you figure out, and like, and I'm glad that I'm learning on this, and I'm being educated on this. No one's gonna know everything, and part of this process of listening to podcasts and listening to different leaders of the industry, like just things that the unknown unknowns. Like I didn't know that, and now and you're just like, okay, well, I might not be an expert like Jeff in linens, but at least I know that there's differentiation. I know there's a difference between commercial versus non-commercial, and that just if it can get you part of it there, you're probably ahead of 99% of your competition that you just even know that this exists here. So if you're listening
Yeah.
now, like definitely check out Host GPO. Understand this part of the business because lowering your build out costs, lowering your operational expenses, having a better experience, reducing the amount of OpEx you're spending on your cleaner, spending longer to get stuff clean because the linens are stained or sitting there with the bleach or with you know some cleaner trying to get it out. But if you have something that's designed for that wear and tear, it either doesn't stain or it's really easy to remove. So they're faster, the quality's better. You don't get cleaning complaints. You get the 5-star reviews. You can charge more. You can build your portfolio and do other great things that us as investors and short-term rentals set out to do. Right? It wasn't to like answer a gas message about, hey, your linens are dirty or your linens don't feel good, right? It's more like, hey, I had a great experience here. Here's a 5-star review. and let me refer your place to all my friends. Like that's the client we want. That's the experience that we want.
100%. And like to your point, Michael, I think that there are all these resources out there now that weren't there 10 years ago when we started, whether that's coaches or courses or podcasts. I mean, none of this stuff was around. And so you really had to learn all the stuff the hard way. And for everything that we talked about, there are 10 things that we didn't. And, we could really go deep. I mean, if you're talking about, buying microfiber sheets off of Amazon, like that's not the same as buying a microfiber sheet from a hospitality linen company. And we don't have to get into all the reasons why, but like if you are going to buy microfiber and you've done one load of laundry, you've taken it out of the dryer and you've realized that all the hairs are going to stick to it and it gets real staticky and it goes like this. And when you put that on the bed, your cleaning team is not going to go in there and pick every hair
Yeah.
from the previous guest off of it. They're just going to put it on the bed, give it like a wipe, and like it's almost impossible to ask somebody to do that. But when you buy a higher quality, heavier microfiber, if that's the synthetic way that you want to go, all of a sudden, like the weight is going to sit better, it's going to feel better, it's going to breathe better, it's not going to have the hair stick to it, all these types of things that like you don't think about. And if, to your point, starting out of the gate with them, like starting out of the gate the right way, you will buy the right sheets early from a company like Standard, where they've been around for like 100 years. They don't change any of the lines. It's all going to be the same sheets in 3 years when you need to buy a whole new box of towels and sheets.
Yeah.
Whereas, my mistake was I was going to IKEA, I was going to Target, I was buying Threshold, I was buying this. Then all of a sudden you go back to buy it and they don't have it anymore. And so you buy whatever the closest
Yeah.
thing is, and you end up with a cream duvet, an off-white pillowcase, a bright white, a flat sheet. And people show up and they're like, where the heck am I? There's no consistency.
It's like this Frankenstein. I know.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, these are all lessons and people will learn them. And there's a million others and zip off top mattress encasements and all this stuff. But like, you don't have to learn everything yourself. And a big part of what we do is try to help people and educate people on the things that we know and just try to guide people into the savings and into the products. And as a group,
Amazing.
as a collective, if we all buy the right thing and the same thing and the right mattress, the mattress keeps getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And there's this community compounding effect. We've had over 300,000 units sign up to be a part of Host GPO, which is just unbelievable in the US and Canada. And so it's been a really great experience kind of getting to this point, and excited to see where it'll go from here.
No, it's awesome. I mean, the first thing, people love, if you give them a good night's sleep, a good mattress that's like comfortable, they go take a, they come and take a shower, like the linens are good, and they use a soap and it's like, it smells good. Like if you can knock that part out, like you're gonna be fine. The worst thing, you come in and it's just like Frankenstein, like your towels are different colored and your bath towels are different from your hand towels are different from your, and then you automatically like, okay, well, this just isn't the same consistency. And when people talk about hotels, Airbnbs, and what short-term rentals, why one is better than the other, and people always talk about that consistency point with the Marriott, and like that's true. It really is. Like they've nailed that down. But what they can't nail down is the more bespoke experience and more space and amenities that you can buy with a short.
For sure.
So why not? They can't reconfigure that hotel that's managing, right? But what we can do is take some of the learnings and the hard work they've done, build off the work that they've done, and put that kind of consistent hospitality experience in our short-term rentals. And maybe we don't get 100% there, or like 60-70% there. Like that's great. Like you're gonna, again, be ahead of most other people that you're competing with, and just to provide a better, fundamentally provide a better, not just make more money. I think if you provide a better product, like the money will come.
Absolutely.
Right? The profits will come. The money will be there. If you just cheap out on all these things, and then you're gonna get a review, and you're gonna lower your prices, and it's just like it's a bad feedback loop. You want to start off like a positive feedback loop, high quality listing, high quality guests, high quality experience, charge a fair price, and be able to reinvest that in your property, and then get more and more. Like that's the kind of business I want, right? You don't want to be the price leader, because that generally doesn't kind of give you the best. I don't think it gives you the best kind of portfolio longevity in your portfolio, at least. Jeff, this has been a great conversation. I learned so much from
Yeah.
just like our 45 minutes here together. You've given me, but I've been doing this for 7 years. You give me stuff to think about. So we kind of wind up the conversation, thinking through business. You've done this for 10 years now. It's kind of my standard closing question. Business is definitely a team sport. A lot of people on the way that help us get us to where we are today. What's one of the kindest things that someone's done for you through your journey that's helped you get to where you are today?
What's one of the kindest things somebody's done for me to help me get here? I would say, you know, we um, we raised around we bootstrapped this company for the first kind of 3 years, and we really were focused on growing it with hosts and members and so forth. And then one of the kindest things that anybody did for me is I would say is when we raised this round of our round of outside capital so we could rebuild the site and grow faster and all these things. I actually was really lucky enough to connect with Spencer Raskoff, who is the founder of Zillow and Picasso, which is also in our industry, and a couple other things. And his willingness and generosity with his time and advice, and also in becoming an investor in Host GPO, really opened a lot of doors for me. And I would say that more than anything else, his just general um, willingness and generosity with his time is one of the kindest things that you realize even the most successful busy people are willing to take time and help lift others up. And I hope that as Host GPO continues to grow, that one day I will get to a point where I'm not starting from the very very first square right now. So there's definitely other people I'm trying to bring up with me, and help with time. But I hope that one day, no matter how kind of busy and successful or whatever ends up happening, I hope that I can give generously with my time the way that he and others have to me.
That's a great way to show. And I mean, shout out to Spencer. I've heard his name come on a few times. It's been,
Brilliant guy.
that's great to hear that he's been, being able to start Picasso and multiple companies and being able to help you along with growing Host GPO and helping the members in our space, take some of the advantages that the big hotels have and being able to utilize that into our short-term rentals. Hey Jeff, again, thank you so much for spending time today. If folks want to reach out to you or to Host GPO, what's the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, so I'm really active on LinkedIn. So check me out, Jeff. My last name is Iloulian, Iloulian. Or you can find us at Host GPO. We have a great Instagram where we highlight a bunch of our members' properties all the time, so you can get some inspiration there. And we're on LinkedIn, or just check out hostgpo.com. I mentioned it already, but it's a 3-month no commitment trial, so you can sign up, check it out, log in, get your account approved, and all that stuff. And then after that, if you want to join, it's $120 a year. So it's kind of just like a Costco membership, super reasonable. You'll save way more than that. We guarantee you'll save more than that. If you don't, we'll refund you. It's more of a membership due, and being a part of the community and group that we're doing than anything else. So
That's
yeah, Host GPO or follow me on LinkedIn.
perfect. Perfect. Well, we'll leave a link for your LinkedIn on the show notes, so if folks want to connect and reach out with you, and we'll put a
Sure.
link for GPA in notes as well. So definitely encourage everyone to sign up. Take a look. We've signed up. We're taking a look. We need to dig in further, and I'm excited for reducing my costs and excited to share your great company with our broader community. So Jeff, thank you for today. Look forward to running this back again sometime soon. I'd love to pick your brain on some of the linens and some of the build out stuff. I'm sure I and others can greatly benefit from your expertise. Well, let's do this again soon.
Sure. Anytime. And thanks so much for having me.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, let me close this tab. Perfect. Right. Awesome. Well, thank you. That was